Hey everyone, it's Jordan, and today I am talking about my favorite books of this year. So this year has been a challenging year for me, with me being a new mom and balancing that and motherhood and reading. I only read less books than I was expecting, but I only read like under 25 books this year, and my goal was at least 35, but I didn't make it. But I got like 8 books here that I consider my favorite books of this year. I know usually I have like 10 favorite books, but this time I honestly have under 10, and I know that last year I only had maybe 5 favorite books. I can't remember on top of my head, but enough chit chat. Let's talk about my favorite books of this year. And before I forget, these are in no particular order, but I think I got the number one pick, but I'm not going to start off with the number one pick, obviously. But the number 8 favorite book of this year of mine is The Queen Will Betray You by Sarah Henning. If you haven't read the first book of the Kingdom of Sand and Skies series, which is The Princess Will Save You, it's a retelling of The Princess Bride, but with how I describe it as Buttercup rescuing Wesley, and that's how I could describe it as a Princess Bride retelling. And I read this book, and I honestly missed the characters, and I missed the world, and I'm just really glad that I've read it, and I do hope to read the final book in the series. I know it's somewhere on my TBR shelves, but I really miss the characters, and I really miss the world, and I really love the reference to The Princess Bride, which I really it put a smile onto my face. So yeah, I just from some of the small amount of sequels that I've read this year, this is one of my favorite ones. Sorry about that. My son was asleep, but his teeth were bothering him, so we had to give him medicine, and I didn't want to go back to the video until he's calm down in bed, and of course Kevin's taking care of him. But the next book that I think is one of my favorites this year is The Dangerous Ones by Lauren Blackwood, and I have not seen anybody talk about this on BookTube, but this is a historical fiction that takes place in Civil War with vampires, and it's about, I know it's about a girl who used to be she used to be a slave, fighting against evil vampires. That's pretty much it. I just really liked how it's not like this, like I'm very familiar with Civil War in history, and it's just a different kind of twist in a story of the Civil War, and it's kind of interesting to see the vampires' perspectives, like why did they decide to join in the war, and that's pretty much. And I really like the main characters, and I really like their chemistry as well, even though like it's very weird because I haven't read a lot of vampire books since Twilight, but I know that another book that has vampires that I've read was A Discovery of Witches, which I love that series. So yeah, and I really think this is a very underrated book, and I think if anybody who likes historical fiction, that especially it takes place at Civil War, but really don't want to read like something that's like with Civil War, and but just really like a really good twist to it, but not like enough like shove it down your throat like you should know about this part of history. I do recommend this book a lot, and like I said, it's a very underrated book, and I'm just glad that I discovered it when I did on boxing video on this. So the next book that is a favorite book of mine for this year, and it's very surprising to me because when I mentioned this in my channel several times, like when books are hyped, they're either a hit or a miss for me, but this one was a hit, and I honestly read it within 3 days. That's how much I loved it, which is The Pumpkin Spice Latte, oh my gosh, Pumpkin Spice Cafe, what the my brain today, by Lori Gilmore. And I really love this book. Is about a woman whose aunt is about to retire, and she wants to pass on her coffee shop to her niece, and then she ends up falling for a local farmer who just doesn't want to deal with people and try to stay away from people in town as possible. And I honestly love this book so much that I recommend this to my grandma, and I got this book for her for Christmas, and she honestly loved it. She called me like a couple of days ago and saying how much she loves it and saying that we should buddy read this series, so we shall see. And I know I have the second book on my TBR, so I might read that as soon as possible. I don't know yet, but I honestly love this book. This really gives me Gilmore Girls vibes. That's how much I love it. It really gives me Lorelai and Luke kind of relationship, as well as Grumpy Sunshine relationship, which I don't read a lot of. And I honestly mentioned this in my on my channel that I did not pick up this. I honestly picked up this book because of the plot, but I didn't realize that the main male character is Logan, which is my son's name, and I just couldn't help but gush over books that have my son's name. But still, I really love this Grumpy Sunshine relationship, and I can't wait to read more books in this series. So the next book that is a favorite of mine for this year is Wings of Starlight by Alison Seft. This is basically about Queen Clarion before she became Queen of Pixie Hollow and her romance with the Winter Lord. And that was mentioned in one of the Tigger Brown movies, I think Secret of the Wings, and I'm just glad I got the full story of that because they only show glimpse of it from the movie, and I honestly love this book. I honestly fell for their relationship. I wish those two, I just really love these characters. I really love the world of Pixie Hollow, and I'm very biased because I love a lot of Disney books that has came out recently, but I know with this one from the world I love, and the Tigger Brown movies are one of my favorites, which I don't watch often, and I should have, but I'm just really glad that I got Queen Clarion's story before she became queen and her romance with a Winter Lord, like I said, and yeah, this became my favorite book for that reason, not just because I love Disney in general, but yeah, I'm just really happy that I got to read this year. This is the only 2025 release that I've read this year. I am very behind on new releases. I've been behind the last couple of years, but I do hope to catch up on at least more of them in the new year, or like just try to catch up on books that I was anticipating and haven't read yet. But either way, I am really happy that I got to read this book this year and end up enjoying it. The next book that is my favorite book of this year is Hour of the Pumpkin Queen by Megan Shepherd. This is a sequel to Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, and I honestly didn't even know that this was coming out until I saw it on the shelves on Barnes & Noble. I'm like, wait, what? There's a sequel to this? And this was my favorite book 3 years ago when it first came out, and I read that within a day. And I know this took me time to read this because of everything going on in my personal life, but I'm just glad that I got to read this year, another 2025 release that I got to read. And I know I said the only one I read is Wings of Starlight, but this is the only other one that I've read. I'm just glad that this author expand the world that Shea Ernshaw, which is the author of the first book, have created, like try to expand the world of Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm just glad that this author was able to expand the world even more. We get to meet new characters, and I don't know why I keep seeing it popped up in the Barnes & Noble. They might be a third book, I don't know, but I'm just glad that I've read this year, and I love Sally as a main character, and Jack and Sally are my favorite characters from Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm just glad to see her character growth, trying to be the Pumpkin Queen as she is, try to do her best to be for Halloween Town, and trying to show that she's not just an outcast of Halloween Town. So I'm just really happy that I got to read it this year, and yeah, only sequel that I've read and enjoyed. So yeah, I am really happy that I got to read this year, and I know as a Disney fan I'm very biased, but I'm just really happy that I got to read it this year, and it became one of my favorites. And the next book that became a favorite of mine this year is Prince of Song and Sea by Lindsay Miller. This is the first book in the Disney Princess series, which you get to see a perspective of Prince Eric and from The Little Mermaid, and it was an interesting read for me because I really love all these Disney movies, but you never see the other character's perspective, which I really enjoyed seeing his perspective of a story and not just Ariel's perspective, and seeing how he progressed as a character and all the things that he dealt with, like he lost his mother and he's dealing with the curse that was given to him before he was born, and trying not to basically the part of his curse is it's in the beginning of this book, it's not to kiss, you cannot kiss anybody that's not his true love, and that's what he had to deal with. And I'm really glad that this author brought a twist to the story of the Little Mermaid that we're familiar with, but not knowing what the prince is dealing with. And yeah, I'm really happy I got to read this, and I know I really need to read the other books in the series because there's one about Prince Philip and one about Prince Charming, and yeah, I'm really glad that I got to read it. Hopefully I'll read the next one in this series sometime soon, but I mean, who knows, I might read those immediately, but again, I'm just really happy that I got to read it finally this year after being on my TBR for like maybe 2 or 3 years. And the next book that that is my favorite this year is XOXO by XEO. This is about a girl who wants to be a cellist, and she ends up going to boarding school in Korea, and then she ends up falling for one of the K-pop stars, and that's pretty much the plot of it. I really enjoyed the story. I love the characters. I really like how she like he's trying to be like, oh, I'm not allowed to date, and all that. This just really reminds me of what was a book that I enjoyed, like they were trying to, like, this is like a forbidden romance that I haven't read in a while, and I know that sometimes being a popular music star, it's kind of hard to have a decent relationship, and I'm just really for that. I just think the couple's really cute, and I just couldn't help but gush over them, and I can't wait to read more authors, or not more authors, more books by this author. Anyways, I know that I haven't read a lot of, I've actually read a decent amount of YA books, but still, I've been trying to, like, my reading tastes have changed over the years, but I still read YA every now and then, and I'm just really glad that I give this book a try, because I wanted to since the hype when it first came out, and I haven't heard many people talk about it since then. I don't even know when this came out, actually. It came out 2021, so like 4 years ago, so pardon me, I'm still dealing with very bad cough because of the weather in my hometown. But anyways, I am happy that I got to read this, and it became another book that became one of my favorites. And the last book, my number one favorite book of this year, is A Deal with an Elf King by Elise Cola. This is about a elf king that is looking for a human bride, and he brings her to his castle and basically tell her to become his wife, basically. And I was surprised on how much I love this. I really like the world, I really like the characters, and I especially love the romance between these two, and it really reminds me of, for some reason, it really reminds me of Beauty and the Beast, but not like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, if you know what I mean. And I just really like, the world, and I know that there's more books in this series, and I know the other runner notes that it's not a series, but it's books that takes place in the same world, but on Goodreads it said they're part of a series. So I do want to get more books in the series, because after reading this book, and I was craving for fantasy romance, and I'm just really glad I gave this a try. And I haven't heard many people talk about this. I know I actually bought this book because Becca in the Books was reading it for her TBR many years ago, and I know she hasn't enjoyed it, but I know that I end up loving it, and I can't wait to read more books that takes place in the same world, and I'm just really happy that I found a book that is not only a favorite book, but also something that I've been really enjoyed after struggling getting back into reading as a new mom. And this is one of the ones that I was like, I honestly couldn't put the book down, and I just love the world, and I love the characters, and this is definitely one of the books I'd recommend for people who are looking for fantasy romance, but it's not YA, but it's more adult. And yeah, anyways, I'm so happy that this book became a #1 favorite book for this year. So that's all for my favorite books of this year. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, and comment down below what's your favorite book for this year, or books, like if you have more than one favorite books of this year. Let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you know if I ever post new videos. Also, you can follow me on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, which all the links for are down below for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!